down the track, boy.
How many remember Iceberg? In the world of fashion, trends come and go, but some brands leave an indelible mark on pop culture. One of said brands is Iceberg Clothing. If I were to tell you that there was once a time where grown men not only donned Disney characters on their shirts proudly, but also spent hundreds of dollars simply for the privilege of doing so, many of my younger audience might think I was crazy. But in the 90s, this was the case with Iceberg. Bold, playful, and unapologetically luxurious, Iceberg Clothing burst onto the scene as a trailblazer in the world of high-end casual wear. From its vibrant cartoon-inspired designs to its celebrity-fueled heyday, Iceberg defined an era of fashion. But how did it rise to fame, and more importantly, where did they go wrong? I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and this is the rise and fall of Iceberg Clothing, decline of a 90s pop art powerhouse. But before we get started, please take a second to stop and hit that like button for me. Liking and sharing these videos, as I always say, is the best way to help smaller channels like ours continue to grow. We've been doing a lot of growth lately. We just recently passed 18,000 on the way to 19, and we're trying to hit the 20K mark. And we can't do it without you guys' help. But with all that being said and out of the way, let's jump right in. The story of Iceberg begins way back in 1974 with Giuliana Marchini and Silvano Garani. The husband and wife partnership got their beaks wet with their previous venture, Gilmer Group. The pair sought to blend high fashion with sporty aesthetics, creating high-end knitwear that was both luxurious and wearable. Iceberg was one of the first brands to champion the concept of luxury casual wear. They started out as a men's clothing line with knitwear and humorous cartoon art motifs, including pop art from Andy Warhol and Walt Disney. 2 years later, they incorporated women's wear, and then in 1989, they opened their first boutique in Milan. In the early years, Iceberg focused on high-quality knits, emphasizing comfort and sophistication. But creative vision soon pushed the brand to a bold new direction. Iceberg made groundbreaking moves by incorporating pop art and cartoon characters into its designs. Mickey Mouse, Snoopy, and Betty Boop were no longer just for kids. They became high-fashion icons. This innovative approach set Iceberg apart, attracting attention from fashion-forward audiences who wanted something different. And nothing says different quite like having Goofy on a $300 sweater, right? The brand's bold look made it a favorite among celebrities. Iceberg wasn't just clothes, it was a status symbol. Rappers, athletes, and Hollywood stars alike wore Iceberg to show that they were in the know. Some of the biggest names of the day, Pamela Anderson, Jay-Z, and Notorious Big, were all representing for the Italian sweater brand. The Iceberg aesthetic was all about standing out. Bright, unapologetic colors, oversized logos, and playful graphics became their signature. At its core, Iceberg was about wearable art, combining Italian luxury with a sense of humor. Iceberg was one of the first brands to merge streetwear with luxury, actually. They were ahead of their time in this respect, laying the groundwork for brands like Off-White and Balenciaga later to come. By the late 90s and early 2000s, Iceberg has solidified itself as a powerhouse in luxury fashion. The brand's ability to blend fun, nostalgia, and high-end design resonated with a generation hungry for bold statements. I personally remember when I was a senior in high school, I planned on wearing an Iceberg sweater to prom. There was a store in Urban Mall called Dead Spot. Shout out to anybody in the audience that might remember them. That's an OG favorite, definitely in Dallas at least. They sold tons of high-end brands in the early 2000s. I went into the store looking to find something, but I didn't quite have the $300 or $400 in my budget that it would cost to get one, so I had to make other plans. That might sound like an insane price to pay for glorified cartoon merch, but the sweaters were actually excellent quality. And the whole vibe was more about the European luxury aspect than it was about having Popeye on your shirt. But all the while, the winds of change were blowing. And by the mid-2000s, Iceberg began to lose its way. The brand struggled to evolve with changing trends. Minimalism was on the rise. Younger, fresher brands were entering the game, and Iceberg's loud, graphic-heavy designs started to feel out of place. Internal challenges didn't help either. The brand underwent several leadership changes, and its identity became muddled. Was Iceberg still luxury, or was it trying to compete with mainstream streetwear? Consumers really couldn't tell anymore. And in the 2010s, Iceberg made several attempts to regain its former glory. Collaborations with contemporary artists and refreshed focuses on streetwear aimed to attract a new generation of consumers. They were determined to adapt, seeking to reinvent themselves. Under the creative direction of designers like James Long, the brand began to modernize its look, blending its heritage of bold graphics with contemporary streetwear influences. Today, Iceberg is still around, albeit much smaller in capacity than before. They tried to lean into nostalgia in an attempt to revive the iconic cartoon design while appealing to a new generation of fashion enthusiasts. Iceberg's story is really one of innovation and resilience. While it may no longer dominate the fashion scene as it once did, its influence can still be felt in today's luxury streetwear movement. Brands like Moschino, Off-White, and Gucci all owe a debt of gratitude for the art-inspired approach Iceberg pioneered all those years ago. From its pop culture roots to its modern-day revivals, Iceberg remains a symbol of creativity and innovation in the fashion world. And because of this, the legacy that they built, I don't think will ever die. But what do you think? Were you a fan of Iceberg back in the day? Did you own any of the pieces? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. And if you made it all the way to the end and you enjoyed what you saw, then don't forget to smash that like button on the way out. Liking and sharing these videos is the only way to help us finally hit 20,000 and to continue to grow. And if you enjoy videos like this and want to see new ones every time we drop one, then hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. That way you can be reminded when each new episode is released. With all that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out for this one. Peace.